Where did you get that?
Sophia didn't notice the wine glass fall. She only saw the pendant, simple, silver, impossibly familiar. And the sight of it pulled the color from her face as if someone had opened a door to a memory she'd locked away. She whispered,
Where did you
get that? And before the stunned waitress could answer, the billionaire collapsed, leaving the entire restaurant staring at a girl who suddenly held a secret she didn't know she carried. If you want to discover how this small necklace reopened a story that was never truly closed and why it pulled two strangers into the same mystery, hit subscribe, because the story behind that necklace is about to change everything. Welcome back, my beautiful family and friends. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one, and you don't want to miss it. Now, let us begin. The silver pendant caught the afternoon light as it swung forward, and Sophia Kyler's world stopped spinning. Her hand shot across the table, knocking over a glass of Chateau Margaux that cost more than most people's monthly rent. The deep red wine spread across the white tablecloth like blood, but Sophia didn't notice. Her eyes were locked on the necklace around the young waitress's throat with an intensity that made nearby diners shift uncomfortably in their seats. "Where did you get that?" The words came out broken, barely a whisper. Priscilla Richard froze, her serving tray balanced perfectly on one hand, the way Antonio had trained her during her first week at Luminaire. The exclusive Miami Beach restaurant catered to people who owned islands and named hospitals after themselves. She'd worked here for 8 months, saving every tip, every dollar, keeping her head down and her mouth shut. She couldn't afford to lose this job. Not with John's medical bills piling up, not with the eviction notice she'd found on her apartment door this morning. "Ma'am?" Priscilla kept her voice professional, neutral, even as her heart began hammering. She recognized this woman. Everyone in Miami recognized Sophia Kyler. The tech billionaire had revolutionized cybersecurity and made $6.2 billion doing it. Her face appeared on magazine covers and TED Talk stages, and right now, that face was draining of all color. "The necklace." Sophia's voice gained volume, gained desperation. "That necklace. Please. Where did you get it?" Priscilla's free hand moved instinctively to her throat, touching the simple handmade pendant she'd worn every day since she could remember. It was nothing special, just twisted silver wire forming a small spiral pattern with a tiny blue stone in the center. The only thing she had from before. Before the foster homes, before the group facilities, before the endless cycle of temporary families and social workers with tired eyes. I've always had it," Priscilla said carefully. "Since I was a baby." Sophia stood so abruptly her chair crashed backward. The entire restaurant went silent. Conversations died mid-sentence. Forks paused halfway to mouths. In the corner, someone's phone camera swiveled toward them. "You're alive," Sophia whispered. Then louder, her voice cracking. "You're alive. Oh God, you're alive." And then the most powerful woman in Miami collapsed. Priscilla dropped her tray, plates shattered against marble floors. Antonio, the manager, rushed over, his face tight with panic. Other diners jumped to their feet. Someone shouted for a doctor, but Priscilla just stood there, staring down at this stranger who was crying on the restaurant floor, reaching up toward her necklace with trembling fingers, repeating the same words over and over. "You're alive, my baby, you're alive." The paramedics arrived within 6 minutes. By then, Sophia had regained consciousness, but she refused to let go of Priscilla's hand. She clutched it like a lifeline while Antonio hovered nervously and the other staff whispered behind their hands. "I'm not leaving without her," Sophia said firmly to the paramedics. Her voice had regained its boardroom authority. "She comes with me." "Ma'am, I really can't," Priscilla started. Sophia cut her off. "How much do you make here? Hourly rate plus tips? What's your monthly income?" Priscilla blinked. "I don't see how that's..." Answer the question, please. Something in the older woman's tone made Priscilla answer honestly. About 3,000 on a good month, 2,800 on average. Sophia tapped the screen once more, confirming the transaction. I just pushed a high-limit, instant transfer payment. It's pending release, but should hit your account as soon as the receiving bank clears the first wire batch. She looked up. To complete the security protocol on my end, I need your full legal name, the name of your primary bank, and your employee ID here. Priscilla Richard. My bank is Coastal Credit, and my employee ID is 318, Priscilla stammered. Sophia nodded sharply. Priscilla Richard, confirmation sent. Check your bank account in 10 minutes. It will be $50,000. Priscilla felt like she'd stepped into someone else's life. This couldn't be happening. Things like this didn't happen to people like her. But she pulled out her phone anyway, her hands shaking as she opened her banking app. The number on the screen made her knees weak. $50,000, more money than she'd seen in her entire life. Come with me, Sophia said. Right now, just for a few hours. I'll explain everything, and if I'm wrong, if I've made some terrible mistake, that money is yours to keep anyway. Please. At this moment, ask yourself, what would you do if someone appeared out of nowhere and changed your life completely in a single day? Would you trust them or run? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Priscilla looked at Antonio. Her manager's face was unreadable, but she saw his hand slip into his pocket, pulling out his phone. Something about the gesture felt wrong. The way his thumb moved rapidly across the screen, the way his eyes kept darting between Priscilla and the exit. I need to get my things from the back, Priscilla said slowly. No time. Sophia stood, steadier now. My car's outside. Whatever you left, I'll replace it. We need to go. Now. The urgency in her voice sparked something primal in Priscilla's gut. The same instinct that had kept her alive through 24 years of uncertainty and danger. When someone powerful tells you to run, you run. They were halfway to the door when Priscilla glanced back. Antonio was pressed against the wall, his phone to his ear, his mouth moving rapidly, and his face. His face held something she'd never seen there before. Fear. Sophia's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of the Azure Tower, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of Miami Beach. Priscilla had cleaned houses like this during her college years, the years before she'd had to drop out to work full-time, but she'd never been invited to sit on furniture this expensive. I need to show you something, Sophia said. She poured them both glasses of water with hands that still trembled slightly. And then I need you to let me take a DNA sample. Cheek swab, completely non-invasive. I have a lab on retainer. They can rush the results in 4 hours. Mrs. Kyler, I don't understand what's... Sophia, please call me Sophia. The older woman sat across from her, and Priscilla saw tears building in her eyes again. 24 years ago, I gave birth to a daughter. At home, my husband insisted on it. He said hospitals were dangerous, full of infections and malpractice. He hired a private midwife, someone he knew. I was young, only 44, and I believed him. Sophia's voice caught. She took a moment, gathering herself. The delivery was difficult. They gave me something for the pain, something strong. When I woke up, my husband told me our daughter had died. Complications with her heart. He showed me a death certificate, a tiny urn. I buried what I thought was my baby in our family plot. Priscilla felt her throat tighten. I'm so sorry, but I don't see what this has to do with... My mother was there, during the delivery. She was dying herself, stage 4 cancer, but she insisted on being present for her only grandchild's birth. 3 weeks after my daughter supposedly died, my mother passed away. But in her final moments, delirious with morphine and grief, she grabbed my hand and whispered something. Sophia pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen and held it toward Priscilla. On the display was a voice recording, time-stamped 24 years ago. The voice that came through the speakers was thin and rasping, but the words were clear. The baby had the necklace. Find the necklace. Priscilla's hand moved to her throat. My mother made that necklace herself, Sophia continued. She was an artist, worked with silver and stones. She made 5 of them, identical, as gifts for family members. Unique design, her signature spiral pattern. But 4 of them are accounted for. My sister has one, my cousin has another, I have the 3rd, the 4th was in my mother's coffin. That necklace you're wearing is the 5th, the one she put on my daughter right after delivery. The room felt too small suddenly. Priscilla stood, moved to the windows, pressed her forehead against the cool glass. That's not possible, she said. I was found in a dumpster behind a gas station in Orlando. I was maybe a week old. Nobody knew where I came from. No one ever claimed me. What year? What? What year were you found? Priscilla's mind raced. 2001. July. My daughter was born July 8th, 2001. Silence stretched between them. Outside, the sun was beginning to set, painting the ocean in shades of orange and gold. The necklace has something else, Sophia said quietly. Something my mother added without telling anyone. She was paranoid about kidnapping, about child trafficking. She'd read too many news stories. So she had a jeweler friend embed something in each necklace. A GPS microchip. Cutting-edge technology at the time. My company was just starting out, specializing in tracking and security systems. Those chips were prototypes. Sophia pulled out her phone again. She opened an app, entered a password. A map appeared on the screen with a single red dot pulsing in the center. I've checked this app every single day for 24 years, Sophia whispered, watching that dot move around Florida, hoping, praying, going insane. The signal is coming from right here. From you. Priscilla looked down at the necklace. The pendant suddenly felt heavy, alien against her skin. Her phone buzzed, then buzzed again, and again. She pulled it out. 3 text messages from a number she didn't recognize. Return what doesn't belong to you. Your brother's hospital bills will triple. You were never meant to be found. The blood drained from Priscilla's face. John! Oh God, John! Who's John? Sophia asked, immediately alert. My little brother, foster brother. He's 12. He has leukemia. He's in Atlanta with our foster mother. How do they know about John? How do they... Another text came through. We're watching. Sophia moved quickly, pulling out a different phone from a drawer. She pressed a button. Davidson, I need a full security sweep of my penthouse, right now, and I need someone on a flight to Atlanta within the hour. I'm sending you details for a 12-year-old boy named John. He needs protection immediately. She rattled off more instructions, her voice sharp and commanding. While she talked, she pulled Priscilla away from the windows into an interior room with no exterior walls. We need that DNA test, Sophia said. Now. And then we need to figure out who's sending those messages. The cheek swab took 30 seconds. Sophia packaged it herself, sealed it in a special container, and handed it to a courier who appeared at her private elevator within 3 minutes. 4 hours, the courier confirmed. After he left, Sophia's security team arrived. 4 people in dark suits with earpieces and professional expressions. They swept the penthouse with equipment that looked like it belonged in a spy movie. They found 3 cameras, one in the living room, hidden in a smoke detector, one in the hallway, tucked into the frame of an abstract painting, one in the kitchen, inside a decorative vase. All of them had been installed within the last 4 months. Someone knew, Priscilla whispered. Someone knew we'd meet. Sophia's face had gone hard. Or someone was watching both of us, waiting. We need to find out who. But first, they needed to know the truth. 4 hours later, Sophia's phone rang. She answered it on speaker. Dr. Patterson. Sophia. The voice on the other end was female, professional. The results are conclusive. 99.97% probability of maternal match. Priscilla Richard is your biological daughter. Priscilla heard the words, but they didn't seem real. She'd spent 24 years wondering who she was, where she came from, why someone had thrown her away. And now this stranger was telling her she'd had a mother all along, a mother who'd been looking for her. Sophia was crying again, but silently this time. Tears streaming down her face while she gripped the phone. If this story is giving you feelings, share it with your book club, your sisters, your daughters, because great stories deserve to be passed on. There's something else, Dr. Patterson continued. Something unusual in Priscilla's blood work. She has an extremely rare blood type, O negative with additional markers that make her what we call a super universal donor. It means her organs could be transplanted into almost anyone with minimal rejection risk. The odds of this are roughly 1 in 18 million. What does that mean? Priscilla asked. Sophia's expression changed. The tears stopped. Her eyes went cold and calculating. It means you weren't just stolen, she said quietly. You were selected. Before Priscilla could respond, her phone exploded with notifications, text messages, all from the same unknown number, coming in rapid succession. We've been checking on you for years, every 6 months. Free clinic in Orlando, remember? Free clinic in Tampa, free clinic in Miami. You thought you were getting health screenings. You were being evaluated. Tissue samples, compatibility tests. You're worth $15 million. To the right buyer, who needs a kidney. Priscilla's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped the phone. Sophia took it from her, reading the messages, her face growing paler with each line. What free clinics? Sophia demanded. Priscilla's mind raced. There was this mobile clinic that would set up in low-income neighborhoods. They offered free checkups, blood tests, basic health services. I went whenever they came around. I couldn't afford regular doctor visits, and they never asked for insurance. They were always so nice, so professional. They said they were a non-profit helping underserved communities. How many times? I don't know. Maybe twice a year, for as long as I can remember. Sophia was already moving, pulling up files on her laptop, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Davidson, she said into her phone, I need you to pull medical records for Priscilla Richard. Start with any mobile clinic visits in Florida over the last 20 years. Cross-reference with shell companies and medical equipment suppliers. She hung up and turned to Priscilla. Someone has been tracking you, not just with the necklace. They've been monitoring your health, making sure you stayed viable. Viable for what? But Priscilla already knew the answer. The messages had spelled it out. You're worth $15 million to the right buyer who needs a kidney. We need to find out who's behind this, Sophia said. And we need to do it fast. If someone's been planning this for years, if they've invested this much time and money, they're not going to stop just because you found me. Her phone rang. She answered immediately. Davidson. Ma'am, we have a problem. The security chief's voice was tight. The boy in Atlanta, John Richard. He was admitted to Emory University Hospital 3 hours ago. Collapsed at school. They're running tests now. Priscilla's world tilted. No. He was fine yesterday. I talked to him yesterday. He was fine. I'm sending a team to the hospital now, Davidson continued. But Mrs. Kyler, there's something else. The attending physician who admitted him, Dr. Bernard Halifax. Does that name mean anything to you? Sophia's face went white. Thomas's brother. Who's Thomas? Priscilla asked. My ex-husband, Sophia whispered. Your father. He died 10 years ago in a car accident. She looked at Priscilla, and her eyes held a terrible understanding. Bernard Halifax was his brother, a pediatric surgeon, one of the best in the country. I haven't spoken to him since Thomas's funeral. Sophia's phone buzzed, a video call request from an unknown number. She answered it. The face that filled the screen was handsome in a cold, aristocratic way. Silver hair, steel-gray eyes, the kind of smile that never reached beyond the lips. Hello, Sophia, Dr. Bernard Halifax said pleasantly. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Bernard, Sophia's voice could have frozen metal. What have you done? I've been running a business, Halifax replied smoothly. A very successful one. Biological insurance, I call it. Wealthy people live longer when they have access to compatible organs, and compatible organs are so difficult to find through traditional channels, so much red tape, so many ethical committees. I simply streamlined the process. You're trafficking children for organs. I'm providing a service. Those children were going nowhere, Sophia. Abandoned, unwanted, destined for lives of poverty and mediocrity. I gave their existence purpose, and I gave them excellent health care, free of charge. Priscilla received better medical monitoring than 90% of Americans. Priscilla found her voice. Where's John? Halifax's smile widened. Young John is right here, comfortable and safe, for now. He's not the primary asset, but his tissue markers are interesting. Worth perhaps $2 million to the right buyer. Less than his sister, of course, but still valuable. You son of a... Let me be very clear, Halifax interrupted, his tone sharpening. You have something I've invested considerable resources in cultivating. Priscilla has been under my management for 24 years. That's my property, my investment, and I have a client who has already paid a significant deposit for her kidney. Delivery is scheduled in 72 hours. You're insane, Sophia said. I'm practical. Here's what's going to happen. You will bring Priscilla to me by midnight tomorrow. There's a private surgical facility in Orlando. I'll send you the address. She'll undergo a simple procedure. We'll harvest one kidney, and everyone walks away happy. The client gets what he needs. I get paid. John goes home safely. And you, Sophia, get to keep your daughter alive. One kidney. People live full lives with one kidney. And if I refuse? Then John's organs will be harvested instead. All of them. And I promise you, I'll make sure Priscilla knows that her brother died because she valued her kidney more than his life. Then I'll take her anyway. She can't hide from me. I've been tracking her for 24 years. I know everywhere she goes, everyone she talks to. I have people in every hospital in 3 states. You cannot protect her. The screen went dark. Priscilla was shaking. He has John. Oh God, he has John. But Sophia was staring at her laptop screen, her expression unreadable. He made a mistake. What? He told us too much. The facility in Orlando, the client who's already paid, the timeline. He thinks we're helpless, that we'll just comply. But he doesn't understand who he's dealing with. Sophia pulled up multiple windows on her screen. I built a security empire, Priscilla. I have resources he can't imagine. Davidson. The security chief appeared on another video screen. Ma'am, I need everything you can find on Dr. Bernard Halifax. Medical licenses, property holdings, financial records, shell companies, offshore accounts. I want his entire life mapped out within 6 hours. And I need satellite surveillance on every private medical facility within 100 miles of Orlando. Cross-reference with unusual power consumption patterns, recent equipment deliveries, anything that suggests surgical capability. On it, Sophia turned to Priscilla. We're not giving him what he wants. We're going to destroy him. But first, we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with. The information that came in over the next 4 hours painted a picture more horrifying than either of them had imagined. Dr. Bernard Halifax wasn't just running an organ trafficking ring. He'd built an empire. Sophia's investigative team traced shell companies across 8 states. They found property records for 4 private surgical facilities disguised as recovery centers and wellness clinics. They discovered bank records showing payments from 127 different individuals over the past 15 years, ranging from $500,000 to $18 million per transaction, and they found the list. 53 names, birth dates, blood types, tissue markers. Current locations tracked via embedded GPS devices, jewelry mostly, but also medical alert bracelets and even a few pacemakers that had been unnecessarily implanted in healthy teenagers. 12 of the names were marked with a red stamp, harvested. Next to each stamp was a date and a transaction code. The earliest was from 2009. The most recent was 6 months ago. A 19-year-old girl in Nevada who'd donated a kidney and part of her liver to an unnamed client. According to the medical notes, she'd been told it was a voluntary medical study. She'd been paid $5,000 and suffered complications that left her permanently disabled. She was still alive, though. The 12 who were marked harvested hadn't been so lucky. Priscilla stared at the screen, her hands pressed against her mouth. They're dead, all 12 of them. Not donated, Sophia said, her voice hollow. Harvested. He killed them. Davidson's voice came through the speaker. It gets worse. We traced the clients. 3 are sitting members of Congress. 1 is a federal judge. 2 are Fortune 500 CEOs. 1 is the police commissioner in Jacksonville. Bernard Halifax has law enforcement, politicians, and corporate power on his payroll. If we go to the authorities, he'll know before we finish dialing. Priscilla felt the walls closing in. Then, what do we do? Sophia's expression hardened into something Priscilla had only seen in her boardroom photos, the face of a woman who'd built an empire by outthinking her enemies. We go after him ourselves, but we need leverage, something he values more than money. What does a man like that value? Freedom. Sophia pulled up another window. Davidson, I need you to contact someone for me. Elena Voss. Former nurse, works at a veterinary clinic in Tallahassee now. Tell her Sophia Kyla wants to talk about her daughter. 10 minutes later, a woman's face appeared on the screen. She was maybe 50, with tired eyes and gray-streaked hair pulled back in a ponytail. Mrs. Kyla, Elena Voss said carefully. I wasn't expecting to hear from you. Elena, I need your help, and I think I can finally give you what you've been waiting for. Justice for Rebecca. Elena's face crumbled. You know about Rebecca? I know Berna. Halifax harvested your daughter's liver when she was 19. I know he told her it was a medical study, that she'd be fine. I know she developed complications and spent 3 years in a psychiatric facility before you could bring her home. I know you've been trying to expose him for 15 years, and nobody would listen. He's protected, Elena whispered. I went to the police, the FBI, news outlets. Nothing stuck. He has too many powerful friends. Not anymore. Sophia leaned toward the camera. I have evidence. Financial records, medical files, a list of 53 victims, including my own daughter. But I need your help. I need everything you have, every document, every recording, every piece of evidence you've collected. Elena's hands were shaking. What are you going to do? I'm going to destroy him. Completely. But first, I need to save my grandson. The boy in Atlanta, I heard. Elena wiped her eyes. He has John at the Rosewood facility. That's where he does the extractions. Private surgical center, supposed to be a recovery clinic for wealthy patients. It's in Orlando, near the airport. High security, but I have the architectural plans. I stole them years ago when I was building my case. Send them to me. Everything you have. Mrs. Kyla, he'll kill the boy if you move against him. He'll kill the boy anyway. Sophia's voice was ice. Men like Bernard don't leave witnesses. But I'm not going to let that happen. The plan came together over the next 6 hours. Sophia's resources were vast, her connections deeper than Priscilla had imagined. Private security teams, tech experts, lawyers who specialized in criminal prosecution, and investigative journalists who'd been waiting years for a story like this. But the key was timing. We hit him from all sides at once, Sophia explained, laying out the strategy on a digital map. Davidson's team extracts John from the Rosewood facility while we feed evidence to the FBI, state police, and media outlets simultaneously. He won't know which fire to fight first. What about his protection? Priscilla asked. The politicians, the judge, the police commissioner. I'm sending evidence packets to their political opponents, the state attorney general, and the Office of Professional Responsibility. By the time Halifax realizes what's happening, his protective network will be too busy saving themselves to help him. Sophia pulled up another window. But we need one more thing. Confirmation that he's actually at the Rosewood facility right now. And we need him distracted long enough for the extraction team to get John out. She looked at Priscilla. Which means you need to agree to meet him. What? Not actually meet him. Just make him think you're coming. Keep him focused on you while we move on John. It's risky, but I'll do it, Priscilla said immediately. Whatever it takes. Sophia studied her face for a long moment. You're braver than I was at your age. I spent 24 years surviving. This is just one more day. At 9:47 p.m., Priscilla sent a text message to the number Halifax had used earlier. I'll come. Midnight tomorrow, Orlando facility. But I want proof John is okay first. Video call, now. The response came within 2 minutes. A video call request. When Priscilla answered, she saw John. Her little brother was sitting in a hospital bed, looking small and scared but alive. An IV line ran into his arm. Behind him stood Dr. Bernard Halifax, one hand resting possessively on John's shoulder. See, Halifax said pleasantly, healthy and whole, for now. I want to talk to him, alone. You're not in a position to make demands. Then I'm not coming. You can hunt me down, but that'll take time. Time your client doesn't have. Let me talk to my brother, or find another kidney. Halifax's smile tightened, but he nodded and stepped out of frame. John, Priscilla said softly, are you okay? I'm scared, Scylla. John's voice was small. They said I collapsed at school, but I don't remember that. I just remember waking up here. Did they give you anything? Medicine? Shots? Some shots. They said it was for my leukemia treatment. John's eyes widened. Wait, Scylla, the doctor said something weird. He said I didn't have leukemia anymore. That all my tests came back clean. How is that possible? Priscilla's blood ran cold. He said what? He said I was cured. That it was a miracle. But Scylla, I've been in remission before, and it always comes back. They always said I'd need treatment for years. Behind Priscilla, Sophia had gone very still. She typed rapidly on her laptop, then showed Priscilla the screen. It was John's medical file from his treatment center in Atlanta, updated 3 days ago. Complete remission, no cancer cells detected, treatment discontinued. John never had active leukemia, Sophia whispered. Halifax was treating him for a disease he didn't have, keeping him sick, keeping him dependent, keeping him controllable. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. For years, John had suffered through chemotherapy, radiation, hospital stays, all of it unnecessary. All of it designed to keep him weak, vulnerable, and tied to the medical system Halifax controlled. Listen to me, John, Priscilla said, keeping her voice steady. You're going to be fine. I promise. Just do exactly what they tell you, stay calm, and wait. Help is coming. Halifax stepped back into frame. Satisfied? Midnight tomorrow, Priscilla confirmed. I'll be there. The call ended. Sophia immediately contacted Davidson. Go, now, while he thinks he has another 24 hours. The extraction team moved at 11:00 p.m. 6 operatives, all former military, all equipped with non-lethal weapons and body cameras. They'd been watching the Rosewood facility for hours, mapping security patterns, identifying weak points. Sophia and Priscilla monitored everything from the penthouse, watching live feeds from the team's cameras. Southeast entrance, Davidson's voice came through. 2 guards, we're moving. The guards went down silently, sedated with tranquilizer darts. The team moved through the facility like shadows, avoiding cameras, bypassing electronic locks with equipment that cost more than most people's houses. They found John on the 2nd floor, in a private room with reinforced doors and medical equipment that looked more appropriate for an operating theater than a recovery room. We've got him, Davidson confirmed. He's conscious, mobile. We're moving to Extraction Point Alpha. But then alarms started blaring. We're compromised, one of the operatives said. Security's responding. Multiple contacts. On the camera feed, Priscilla watched as armed guards appeared in the hallways. Not hospital security. These were tactical operators with military-grade weapons. "Get him out," Sophia commanded. "Whatever it takes." The next 3 minutes were chaos. The extraction team moved fast, carrying John between them, returning fire with their non-lethal weapons. Smoke grenades filled the hallways. Flashbangs disoriented pursuing guards. They made it to the vehicle bay. The armored SUV was waiting, engine running. "We're clear," Davidson reported. "Moving to safe house." But Sophia's phone was already ringing. She answered it on speaker. "You stupid bitch." Bernard Halifax's voice was pure venom now, all pretense of civility gone. "You think you can steal from me? I own half the law enforcement in this state. I'll have that boy back before morning." "No," Sophia said calmly. "You won't, because in approximately 90 seconds, every piece of evidence I have on you is going live. Financial records, medical files, victim testimony, recorded confessions from your accomplices. It's being sent to the FBI, state police, attorney general, and 15 major news outlets simultaneously. You can't prove I have Elena Voss's entire case file. 15 years of documentation. I have bank records showing payments from your clients. I have the architectural plans for 4 illegal surgical facilities. I have testimony from 12 families whose children you murdered, and I have this phone call, which is also being recorded and will be included in the evidence packet." Silence on the line. "It's over, Bernard," Sophia continued. "Your protective network is about to collapse. Every politician, every judge, every cop you bought is about to be exposed. They're not going to protect you. They're going to run as far from you as possible. I'll disappear. I have resources you can't imagine. You have 3 offshore accounts totaling $127 million, all frozen as of 10 minutes ago. You have property in the Cayman Islands under the name James Weston. The Cayman authorities have been notified. You have a plane at Miami Executive Airport under a shell company called MedServe International. It's been grounded by the FAA. Where are you going to run, Bernard?" More silence. Then, "The girl is still mine. I can still find her. I've been tracking her for 24 years. One phone call, and I'll know exactly where—" "The necklace has been in a signal-blocking box for the last 6 hours," Sophia interrupted. "Your tracking is dead. Your network is compromised. Your clients are about to be arrested. Your accomplices are already cutting deals. You have nothing left. I'll kill you, both of you. The line went dead. Sophia looked at Priscilla. "He's going to run, but he won't get far." She was right. Federal agents arrested Dr. Bernard Halifax 43 minutes later at a private airstrip outside Orlando. He was carrying $200,000 in cash, 3 false passports, and a laptop containing encrypted files with the complete records of his organ trafficking network. His accomplices started talking immediately. The accountant who'd helped him hide the money, the lawyers who'd falsified medical records, the administrators at hospitals who'd helped him access patient information, the surgical nurses who'd assisted with extractions. 23 arrests happened within the first 24 hours. 68 more followed over the next week. The news exploded across every media platform. Billionaire exposes organ trafficking ring. Tech CEO saves daughter from medical kidnapping. 53 victims of systematic child exploitation. Politicians scrambled to distance themselves from Halifax. The federal judge resigned. The police commissioner was indicted. 2 congressmen announced they wouldn't seek re-election. The evidence was overwhelming. The case was airtight. But for Sophia and Priscilla, the legal victory was only part of the story. 3 weeks after Halifax's arrest, Priscilla stood in a hospital room in Atlanta, watching John sleep. He looked peaceful, healthy. For the first time in years, he wasn't hooked up to chemotherapy pumps or radiation equipment. The doctors had confirmed what Halifax had accidentally revealed. John had been in complete remission for over a year. The treatments he'd been receiving had been placebos at best, active poisons at worst, designed to keep him sick enough to control but alive enough to harvest if needed. Now, finally, he was just a 12-year-old boy recovering from years of unnecessary medical trauma. "He's going to need therapy," the psychologist had told them. Processing what was done to him, understanding that his illness was manufactured. That's going to take time. But he was alive, and safe, and free. Sophia appeared in the doorway, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Priscilla and stood beside her, both of them watching John breathe. "I found your father," Sophia said quietly. Priscilla turned to her. "What?" "Your biological father. Thomas's medical records. He died of kidney failure 10 years ago, but before he died, he was on a transplant list." Sophia's voice was hollow. "Bernard contacted him 5 years ago, told him there was a perfect match available. A young woman, healthy, compatible. Didn't tell him it was his own daughter." "The $15 million client," Priscilla whispered. "Thomas died before the extraction could happen, but the file was still active. Bernard was going to sell your kidney to someone else." Sophia's hands trembled around her coffee cup. "Your father spent his last years unknowingly hunting his own child." The cruelty of it was almost incomprehensible. Bernard Halifax hadn't just trafficked organs. He'd weaponized families against themselves, turning grief and desperation into profit. "He didn't know," Priscilla said finally. "My father, he didn't know it was me." "No, he didn't." "Would you have told him, if he'd lived?" Sophia was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know. Thomas and I divorced badly. He was troubled, addicted to gambling, made terrible decisions, but I don't think he was evil, just weak, and Bernard exploited that weakness." Priscilla turned back to John. "We can't change what happened, but we can make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else." The Caroline Sophia Lancaster Foundation launched 6 months later, named after both Priscilla's birth name, Caroline, and the grandmother who'd never stopped searching. The foundation had 3 primary missions: reforming foster care systems, strengthening hospital security protocols for newborns, and supporting victims of medical exploitation. Sophia funded it with $50 million initially. Within a year, donations from horrified citizens and guilty politicians pushed that number to $200 million. Elena Voss became the foundation's director of victim services. Her daughter Rebecca, still recovering from the liver damage Halifax had inflicted, became the foundation's public face, a living reminder of what was at stake. The foundation's first major victory came 9 months after Halifax's arrest. The Biological Protection Act, federal legislation requiring GPS tracking of all human organ shipments, mandatory psychological evaluation for living donors, and criminal penalties for coerced donations. 3 congressmen who'd been on Halifax's client list voted for it. They had no choice. The alternative was prison. But the foundation's most important work happened quietly, in small rooms across the country, connecting victims with therapy, reuniting families torn apart by trafficking, reforming the systems that had allowed predators like Halifax to operate for decades. Priscilla split her time between the foundation and completing her nursing degree. She specialized in pediatric trauma, working with children who'd been exploited by the medical system that was supposed to protect them. She still wore the necklace. Not the original, that was in an evidence locker, a material witness in ongoing prosecutions. But Sophia had commissioned a replica, identical in every way except for the GPS chip. This one was just jewelry. Just a reminder of where she'd come from and where she was going. The trial lasted 8 months. Dr. Bernard Halifax, facing 147 felony counts, including 12 charges of first-degree murder, showed no remorse. Even in court, handcuffed and orange jumpsuited, he maintained that he'd been providing a valuable service. "Those children were nothing," he said during his testimony. "Abandoned, unwanted, destined for poverty and failure. I gave them purpose. I gave them value. Without me, they would have died as forgotten statistics." The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. The judge sentenced him to life without parole on each murder count, 12 consecutive life sentences. He would die in prison, which was fitting since he'd killed 12 young people in medical facilities. His accomplices received sentences ranging from 10 to 30 years. The accountant, the lawyers, the nurses. the hospital administrators who'd looked the other way. Robert Tremaine, the manager from Luminaire restaurant who'd been on Halifax's payroll, received 15 years. He'd been feeding Halifax information about Priscilla for months, her schedule, her habits, her vulnerabilities. The panic call he'd made when Sophia recognized the necklace had been to warn Halifax that his asset was compromised. But it was one of the victim families who delivered the most devastating testimony. The mother of Sarah Elijah, a 17-year-old girl who'd been harvested for her liver in 2019, stood before the court and read a statement that left the entire courtroom in tears. "My daughter loved music," she said, her voice breaking. "She played violin. She wanted to go to Juilliard. She had her whole life ahead of her, and you took that from her because someone with money needed a liver. You decided her life was worth less than a stranger's. You decided she was disposable." She looked directly at Halifax. "I hope you live a long life in prison. I hope you wake up every day and remember the 12 children you murdered. I hope their faces haunt you until your last breath." Halifax stared back at her, his expression blank. He felt nothing. Even then, he felt nothing. 2 years after the trial ended, Priscilla stood at a podium in a packed auditorium. The annual fundraiser for the Caroline Sophia Lancaster Foundation had drawn over 1,000 people, including several celebrities, politicians scrambling to look compassionate, and families whose children had been saved by the foundation's work. She wore a professional suit that Sophia had helped her pick out. Around her neck hung the replica necklace, catching the stage lights. "My name is Priscilla Lancaster," she began. "2 years ago, I was a waitress trying to save enough money to keep my brother alive. I worked 3 jobs, I skipped meals, I lived in a studio apartment with broken heating and cockroaches. I thought that was just my life, that I was born unlucky, born into poverty, born to struggle." She paused, looking out at the audience. "What I didn't know was that my entire life had been engineered. My poverty wasn't bad luck, it was systematic sabotage. Every job application that got mysteriously rejected, every bank account that got inexplicably drained, every eviction notice that appeared without cause, all of it was designed to keep me desperate, vulnerable, and accessible. Because desperate people don't ask questions when they're offered money for medical studies." The audience listened in absolute silence. "I was supposed to die on an operating table 2 years ago. My kidney was sold for $15 million. My brother was next in line. We were inventory, assets to be liquidated when the right buyer appeared." Priscilla's voice strengthened. "But we survived. And we survived because one woman refused to stop searching. Because my mother," she looked at Sophia, sitting in the front row, "spent 24 years checking a GPS signal every single day. Hoping, praying, never giving up." Sophia was crying, but she was smiling too. "We can't change what happened to the 12 young people who died. We can't give Sarah Elijah back her violin, or David Morrison back his dreams of becoming a teacher, or any of the others back the lives they should have lived. But we can make sure no one else suffers what we did." Priscilla pulled out a folder. "Today, I'm announcing 3 new initiatives. First, the foundation is partnering with every major hospital chain in America to implement mandatory tracking for newborns and real-time verification of parent identity. No more babies disappearing from hospitals." Applause filled the auditorium. Second, we're launching a national database of missing children with embedded tracking devices. If a child goes missing, we'll be able to locate them within hours, not years. More applause. And third, we're establishing a $100 million legal fund to prosecute medical exploitation cases. Anyone who profits from trafficking children, from coerced organ donations, from systematic abuse of vulnerable populations, we're coming for you. You will be found. You will be prosecuted. You will face justice. The applause was thunderous now, but Priscilla raised her hand for silence. "There's one more thing, something personal." She looked directly at the cameras broadcasting the event. "Dr. Bernard Halifax testified that the children he trafficked were worthless, that we were abandoned, unwanted, destined for failure. He said he gave us value by turning us into spare parts. Her voice dropped, became steel. I want him to know something. I want him to hear this in whatever cell he's rotting in. We weren't worthless. Sarah Elijah wasn't worthless. David Morrison wasn't worthless. The 53 children on his list weren't worthless. We were children. We deserved protection. We deserved safety. We deserved life. Priscilla held up the necklace. This necklace saved my life. Not because it was expensive or special, but because it was made with love by a grandmother who wanted to protect her grandchild. That's what matters. Not how much our organs are worth, but how much we're loved. She paused. To everyone watching this who's been told they're worthless, who's been abandoned or exploited or forgotten, you matter. Your life has value that no one can take away. And if you need help, we're here. The foundation is here. We will find you. We will protect you. We will fight for you. The audience rose to its feet. The applause went on for 5 full minutes. People were crying, cheering, embracing each other. But Priscilla wasn't finished. One last thing, she said, and the crowd quieted. To everyone who has been moved by this story, by my story, by the stories of the 12 young people who didn't survive, by the hundreds of families still searching for missing children, I'm asking you to do something. Share this story. Talk about it. Make noise. Demand reforms. Support organizations fighting child trafficking and medical exploitation. Your voice matters. Your platform matters. Together, we can make sure that no other family goes through what mine did. She stepped back from the podium. The applause was deafening. Later that night, Sophia and Priscilla sat together in the penthouse, looking out over Miami Beach. The fundraiser had raised $47 million in a single evening. The foundation's hotline had received over 3,000 calls from people offering help, resources, information about other possible trafficking cases. The work would never be finished. There would always be more children to save, more families to reunite, more predators to stop, but tonight they could rest. Your speech was perfect, Sophia said quietly. Caroline would have been so proud. Priscilla leaned against her mother's shoulder. It still felt strange having a mother, having a family, having a name that meant something beyond survival. Do you think it's enough? Priscilla asked. Everything we're doing. Will it actually change anything? Sophia was quiet for a moment. I spent 24 years feeling powerless, searching, hoping, praying, but ultimately helpless. I had all the money in the world, and it couldn't bring you back. It couldn't save those 12 children. It couldn't stop Bernard Halifax. She turned to look at Priscilla. But then, I found you. And together, we stopped him, we exposed him, we destroyed his network, we saved John and helped find justice for Sarah and David and the others. Money didn't do that. Power didn't do that. Love did that. Refusing to give up did that. Sophia squeezed Priscilla's hand. Will it change everything? No. But it will change something. And something is how all great change begins. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the lights of Miami sparkle below them. 2 women who should never have found each other, brought together by a handmade necklace and a grandmother's love. 2 women who'd survived the worst humanity could offer and chosen to fight back. 2 women who'd discovered that family isn't about blood or biology or wealth. It's about never giving up on the people you love, even when the whole world says they're gone forever. Even when the odds are impossible. Even when hope seems foolish. Love always finds a way, and sometimes, just sometimes, it brings you home.